the old legend said. That was the first thing you learned when you were marked out for a reeve. Limits. A reeve could do so much and no more, just like her eagle. In the old days, so the story went, the reeves had had more power and been treated with more respect, but not any longer. Shadows had been creeping over the 100 for a long time, but it was only now they seemed to be gathering strength. She shook away these dusty and useless thoughts. Today had been good so far. Just after dawn in the hamlet of Disa Falls, she'd successfully mediated a dispute over the stones marking the boundary between two fields. She'd allowed the local archon to offer a haunch of sheep as a snack for Flirt, enough to keep her going until a real hunt. So it went, a typical start to a reeve's day. Flirt banked and shifted position as the air currents altered because of a notch in the higher hills up to the east. Below, the woodland frayed into the patchwork of saplings and underbrush stretching between broad swathes of mature beech that betrayed human hands at work. Soon enough, she saw a pretty green valley nestled between the hills. It was mostly trees and meadows, but there was a village with a small boat dock built out into the river and a few houses on the far bank beside new fields cut into the forest. The summit road dipped down from the east to run by the village, which had probably grown up as a wayfaring stop for travellers and merchants. As she flew over, surveying the lay of the land, she was surprised to see a man actually in the act of running a red eagle banner up the message pole set in the village square. She circled Flirt around, and with a swell of wings and a thump, they landed on the stony beach. She hitched her legs out of the harness and leaped down, absorbing the landing by bending her knees. A dozen villagers and more children had gathered at a prudent distance outside the low stockade that kept woodland predators and pesky deer out of their gardens and homes. She slipped her staff out of the harness and sauntered over. The staff in her hand, the short sword rattling along her right thigh, and the quiver slung over her back weren't nearly as daunting as Flirt. The eagle's amber stare, her massive claws, and her sheer shocking size, bigger than a surly cart horse and twice as mean, were enough to concern anyone. The eagle fluffed up her feathers, whuffed, and settled down to wait. "How can I help you folks?" Marit asked. They weren't scared of her, at any rate. They stared right at her boldly enough, maybe surprised to see a woman. "Go get the reeves some ale and bread and cheese," said the man, who still stood with the rope in one hand. The banner snapped halfway up the pole. In answer, a girl about 10 years of age trotted, backward, toward an inn whose low barracks-like building took up one entire side of the village square. The girl just could not rip her gaze away from the eagle. Naturally, after a few steps, she stumbled and fell flat on her rump. An older girl yelled, "Turn round, you ninny! That beast ain't going nowhere yet!" Others laughed as the girl got up and dusted off her bright red tunic and pantaloons, then bolted through the open door of the inn. The sign creaking over the porch bore fresh paint and the cheerful visages of a quintet of happy drinking fellows, 3 men and 2 women. One of the painted men had an outlander's pale hair caught back in a trident braid. But none of the folk who'd come up to greet her had the look of foreigners. These were good, handsome 100 folk, dark skin, black hair, brown eyes. "I'm called Reeve Marit. What's the trouble?" She sorted through the map she carried in her mind. "This is Merryvale." "Indeed it is, Reeve Marit." The man had a bitter twist to his mouth. Everyone else was looking at him with frowns and whispers. "I'm called Farron. I own the merrymakers there." He gestured toward the inn. "It's a lad what works for me has caused the trouble." He coughed. Several folk scuffed their feet on the dirt, looking away.